My dear brothers and sisters, if someone ever asks you a question and your heart suddenly feels uncomfortable, do not ignore that feeling. That moment of unease may be Allah protecting you. Not every question deserves an answer, and not every person deserves access to your private life. Some questions open doors you never meant to open, doors that lead to spiritual harm, emotional disturbance, and unseen danger. Islam teaches us that silence is sometimes an act of faith. There are questions which, if answered, can invite sihr without you even realizing it. Today, I will share with you 5 questions that you must never answer, not because you are afraid, but because Allah is guarding you. Listen carefully, because this knowledge can protect your peace, your home, and your soul. 1. Tell me about your problems. I want to help you. My dear brothers and sisters, this question may sound gentle, caring, and full of concern, but Islam teaches us to look beyond words and examine intentions. Not everyone who asks about your pain is doing so to remove it. Some people ask because they are curious. Some ask because they enjoy knowing others are struggling. And sadly, some ask because they intend harm, whether through jealousy, gossip, manipulation, or even sirr. When you open your heart to the wrong person and describe your worries, your fears, your failures, and your emotional wounds, you are giving away information that should have remained protected. Emotional vulnerability is powerful, and in the wrong hands, it becomes a weakness instead of a healing step. Sirr often does not begin with strange rituals or visible actions. It often begins with conversation. It begins when a person learns what hurts you, what you fear losing, what keeps you awake at night, and what makes you feel insecure. Once these things are known, they can be used spiritually, emotionally, or psychologically against you. Islam does not teach us to suppress pain, but it teaches us where to take that pain. Allah says that He is closer to you than your jugular vein. He knows your struggles before you speak them. He hears the silent cries you never share with anyone. Turning to Allah in hardship is not a last option. It is the first protection. The Prophet ﷺ taught us that concealment brings safety. This means that not every struggle needs an audience. Not every problem needs to be explained to people. Some matters are meant to stay between you and Allah, strengthening your reliance on Him. When Allah wants to protect you, He places wisdom on your tongue and teaches you restraint. That restraint is not weakness, it is guidance. Share your pain only with Allah through dua, and if needed, with people of proven sincerity, trust, and faith. Do not hand your inner wounds to those who have not earned the right to hear them. Sometimes the most powerful form of protection Allah gives you is silence. 2. What time were you born? What is your mother's name? My dear brothers and sisters, listen to this very carefully, because this question is far more dangerous than it appears. On the surface, it may sound harmless, casual, or even friendly. Someone may say they are just curious, or they may pretend it is for fun, personality, analysis, astrology, or so-called spiritual guidance. But Islam teaches us to be extremely alert when questions cross into our personal and unseen affairs. Your birth details and your mother's name are not small pieces of information. In many forms of sihr, these details are used as identifiers, as keys to target a specific individual. Islam is a religion of protection and dignity. Allah does not want His servants to expose themselves unnecessarily. When someone asks for your exact birth, time, date, or your mother's name without a clear, valid, and Islamic reason, you must pause immediately. Ask yourself honestly, why does this person need to know this? If there is no clear benefit, no necessity, and no trust established, then silence is your safety. Many people fall into harm not because they wanted evil, but because they answered questions without thinking. Sihr does not always come dressed in darkness. Sometimes it comes wrapped in curiosity, friendliness, or false spirituality. People may claim they want to help you, guide you, or understand your energy or destiny. Islam rejects these ideas completely. Your destiny is written by Allah alone. No human being needs your birth details to understand you. When Allah protects someone, He creates barriers around them. One of those barriers is awareness. Another is hesitation in the heart. If you ever feel uneasy answering such questions, that discomfort is not random, it is guidance from Allah. The Prophet ﷺ taught us to guard our private matters. Not everything about you needs to be known. Not everyone deserves access to your personal information. Your mother's name is honored in Islam and your birth is part of Allah's decree. These are not things to be shared casually. When you protect what Allah has kept private, Allah increases your protection. Silence here is not rudeness. Silence is obedience. Silence is wisdom. And many times, silence is the very shield Allah places between you and harm. On 3, are you happy in your marriage or relationship? My dear brothers and sisters, this question may sound normal, friendly, and even caring, but it carries deep danger if asked by the wrong person. Islam teaches us that marriage is sacred. A relationship between a husband and wife is not public property. It is a trust given by Allah, protected by modesty, privacy, and dignity. When someone asks you about the happiness of your marriage, especially repeatedly or with unnecessary curiosity, you must be extremely careful. Not every question is meant to help. Some questions are meant to uncover weakness. Many people do not realize this, but one of the most common doors through which sihr enters a person's life is the door of relationships. Jealousy is powerful. Envy is destructive. When you speak openly about your marital struggles, misunderstandings, or emotional distance to someone who does not truly fear Allah, you are exposing the most sensitive part of your life. What should have remained between you, your spouse, and Allah suddenly becomes information that can be misused. Islam does not tell us to pretend everything is perfect, but it does teach us to protect what is fragile. Shaitan loves broken homes. He loves whispered doubts, small complaints, and private frustrations shared with the wrong ears. When you answer such questions carelessly, you allow others to plant ideas in your mind, magnify problems that could have been solved quietly, or even feel satisfaction in your pain. Some people ask these questions not to bring peace, but to compare, to judge, or to feel superior. Others ask because they carry jealousy in their hearts and cannot tolerate seeing stability in someone else's life. The Prophet ﷺ taught us that the strongest believer is not the one who exposes everything, but the one who controls the tongue and guards trust. If your marriage is strong, not everyone needs to know. If your marriage is struggling, not everyone deserves to hear it. Islam teaches us to seek help wisely, through dua, patience, sincere advice, and trusted elders or scholars when truly needed. When Allah wants to protect your home, He teaches you silence with wisdom. That silence is not secrecy, it is protection. If someone asks about your marriage and your heart feels uncomfortable, that feeling is not random. That is Allah guiding you. Respond briefly, change the topic, or remain silent. Protect your relationship the way you protect your iman. Remember this clearly, my dear brothers and sisters. Not every problem needs a conversation, and not every question deserves an answer. Sometimes Allah protects your marriage by stopping your tongue before it creates harm. 3. Are you happy in your marriage or relationship? My dear brothers and sisters, this question may appear normal, friendly, and harmless, but in reality it can be one of the most dangerous questions a person can ask you if their intention is not pure. Islam teaches us that marriage and relationships are sacred trusts from Allah. They are not entertainment topics. They are not gossip material. They are not open discussions for everyone who feels curious. When someone asks you whether you are happy in your marriage or relationship, especially when they are not close family, a trusted elder, or a sincere advisor, you must pause and be very careful. Not every person who asks this question wants good for you. Some want information, some want comparison, some want to feel better about their own situation. And some, may Allah protect us, want to use this knowledge to harm, interfere, or create distance where peace once existed. Many cases of sihr, jealousy, and evil eye begin with relationship matters. When a person knows that there is weakness, tension, or emotional distance between spouses, that knowledge becomes a doorway. Islam teaches us that envy is real, the evil eye is real, and jealousy can exist even among people who smile at you and speak kindly. When you openly describe your marital struggles, misunderstandings, private arguments, or emotional pain to the wrong person, you expose the most sensitive part of your life. What was once a small issue that could have been solved with patience, dua, and communication suddenly becomes heavier because outside energy has entered it. Shaitan loves when marriages are discussed carelessly. He loves when people complain openly instead of turning to Allah. He loves when frustration is spoken repeatedly because repeated speech magnifies pain. Islam does not tell us to stay silent forever or suffer alone, but it teaches us to choose wisely. Seek help from Allah first. Make dua. Ask Allah to place sakina in your home. If advice is needed, seek it from people who fear Allah, who will protect your marriage, not expose it. Not everyone who listens is safe, and not everyone who sympathizes is sincere. If your marriage is good, there is no need to advertise it. If your marriage is struggling, there is no need to announce it. The Prophet ﷺ taught us to protect our private matters and not expose blessings to unnecessary attention. When Allah wants to protect a home, He places wisdom on the tongue of its people. Sometimes that wisdom appears as silence. Sometimes it appears as a short general answer. And sometimes it appears as changing the topic completely. If your heart feels uneasy answering such a question, trust that feeling. That discomfort is guidance from Allah. Remember this clearly, my dear brothers and sisters. Not every question deserves honesty, and not every honesty deserves an audience. Sometimes Allah saves your relationship simply by stopping you from speaking. 4. Tell me your biggest fear or what you worry about most. My dear brothers and sisters, this question may sound thoughtful and deep, but it is one of the most sensitive and dangerous questions you can answer if it comes from the wrong person. Islam teaches us that fear and worry are not small emotions. They are powerful forces that shape the heart, the mind, and the soul. When someone asks you about your biggest fear or your deepest worry, they are asking you to reveal the weakest part of yourself. Not everyone deserves access to that place. Not everyone who asks is asking to heal you. Some ask to understand you, some ask to influence you, and some ask to harm you, knowingly or unknowingly. Fear is something Shaitan uses to weaken believers. Worry is something that grows when spoken carelessly. When you describe your fears in detail to someone who does not fear Allah, you give them a map to your vulnerabilities. Islam teaches us that sihr often targets emotional weaknesses. A person who knows what you fear can manipulate your thoughts, plant doubts in your heart, or increase your anxiety. Sometimes the harm is spiritual, sometimes it is psychological, sometimes it is both. That is why Islam places great importance on guarding the tongue and the heart. Allah tells us again and again in the Quran to place our trust in Him. Fear belongs to Allah alone. Worry should be taken to Allah before it is taken to people. When you speak your fears repeatedly, they grow stronger in your mind. They begin to define your thinking. Islam teaches us that remembrance of Allah brings peace to the heart, not excessive discussion of worries. The Prophet ﷺ showed us that when something troubled him, he turned to prayer. He turned to dua. He turned to Allah. He did not make his fears a topic of casual conversation. Some people ask about your fears pretending they want to comfort you, but instead they end up feeding your anxiety. Others may listen quietly and later use your fears against you, either through words, pressure, or manipulation. And in some cases, people with evil intentions may use this information in sihr because fear weakens spiritual defenses. A fearful heart is easier to disturb. A worried mind is easier to control. Islam protects us by teaching us awareness. If someone asks you about your biggest fear and your heart tightens, that is not random. That feeling is guidance. Allah places signs in your chest to warn you. Silence in that moment is not dishonesty. Silence is protection. You are allowed to keep your fears between you and Allah. You are allowed to answer generally or not at all. You are allowed to protect your inner world. The Prophet ﷺ taught us to seek refuge in Allah from anxiety and sorrow. This shows us that fear is something to be healed through faith, not exposed to everyone. Share your worries only with Allah in dua, and if needed, with a trusted person who will increase your iman, not your fear. Not every listener is safe. Not every question is innocent. Sometimes Allah protects you not by removing fear immediately, but by stopping you from speaking it aloud to those who may misuse it. Guard your heart, my dear brothers and sisters, because what you protect for the sake of Allah, Allah protects far better. 5. Have you been seeing strange dreams or feeling unusual lately?